Well, there we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Wednesday webinar with LeafTech and Newfields Ag. And this morning, we're excited to have John Masco on with us. John is the inventor and co-founder with his family members of LeafTech Ag. And LeafTech Ag provides brand new technology to the industry that I was able to meet him in one of the farm shows this spring, or this winter, I should say, and got to know John and saw his technology that really interested me, and Brian and the team here for a new innovation that really can help us, I think, in the biological space and the nutrition and the fertility space with a on-demand leaf tissue sampling scanner that you work with in the field, and rapidly gives you results in the field. And so we want to bring John in here, introduce him. And this is a new product that we're bringing into Newfields Ag to work with you and customers on. And so we just look forward to John's presentation today, and with as always with questions and answers. We'll take those as we go, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions because it is something new. And first question a lot of people ask is, does it work? How does it work? And so forth, and what's gone into it. So John does a wonderful job of presenting that information, and he has a lot of experience in the past with looking at sensoring and scanning and those types of technologies in the industry. So, John, we'll give the floor to you for the presentation, and
Sure.
let you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about this new LeafTech on-demand leaf tissue sampling technology. And we'll look forward to the questions from the group. That sometimes, John, they raise their hand in the chat or maybe take themselves off of mute. So you may get a few interruptions as we go. And then normally at the end, we take a little time for question and answers also. So take it away, John. I know you're down south working in the field and getting out there in the agronomy sense. So we appreciate that's one of the things you're willing to do, is get in the field. So thanks for making it today.
Cool. Well, thanks, Michael. I appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me today and give me an opportunity to show you what we've got going on and stuff. So I'm John Masco, founder and CEO, co-founder and CEO of LeafTech Ag. And we are a ag technology company located in East Central Indiana. And I have got multiple years since 1996 in precision ag technology integration and development, along with my generational farming family, and my family members have all been part of that over the years. And we found that in nutrient delivery systems, we were never able to identify what we needed to put to the plant in a timely fashion. So if we were going to had subsurface irrigation, or we were dealing with variable rate applications of foliar feed products, we weren't able to identify the target zones very readily because you'd have to collect a tissue sample, which is about 20 to 30 leaves from an area, send it off to a lab, and it takes about 3 to 5 days to get the results. And we have been looking to solve that, and over the last 3.5, 4 years, we found a solution that allows us to do that. We investigated several universities, or a couple of different university technologies, and found that they weren't adequate and didn't work according to their published results. And so we found a sensing system that we adapted to an ability to walk into a field with a handheld scanner and put it on a leaf and determine the nutrient content of around 11 to 12 or 11 nutrients plus leaf water content, and provide those results in less than 3 minutes. So we're going from 3 to 5 days to less than 3 to 5 minutes to get that. And with that, I'm going to, and please interrupt me all the way along if you guys need to with any questions and stuff, but just kind of give you making sure Can you see my screen all right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Okay, good. Okay, so again, I'm John Masco and with LeafTech Ag. And what we've been able to do is that we have a handheld scanner that goes over the top of a leaf and it pushes light through the leaf, and then we collect um, several spectral signatures or spectral bands of that leaf. And with that, we were able to determine the different nutrients that you see there, the nitrogen through calcium, plus leaf water content. Our accuracy against lab analysis ranges from about 85 to 97% within that, and we're getting better at that the more we run. To get to those numbers, we've run thousands of scans and hundreds of lab tissue analysis in parallel with that over the last year and a half. And those numbers that's how we achieve those accuracies with it. We've done it across different laboratories, two different ones right now with Servitech and A&L. And we're going to be moving to a much further details with it across other laboratories like Waters, Midwest, and those types of things. And also looking at SAP analysis. But basically, what we're trying to do is by identifying what the nutrient deficiencies are or sufficiencies in a plant in near real time, we can address those with foliars or nutrient delivery subsurfacely. And because we have such a limited time frame to meet those needs. And with that, we're able to do this for cents on a dollar, and being able to move to target where those nutrients would be at. I'm going to, hopefully this plays, but if not, I'll talk over it. Can you guys hear that?
We cannot hear that.
Whoop. Basically, what we're able to do is when we go into the field, this is the scanner you see on the left-hand side. We can actually scan the plant. We push the raw data up to the cloud where it is processed, and then we can report what the nutrient content of that leaf is. And this allows crop consultants to accept a digital lab tissue analysis where they can then take a georeference location of each of the scans and then define nutrient zones within that field. And then once we identify those zones within the field, we can then prescribe how to mitigate any deficiencies, insufficiencies that are there. And so it's very simple and very timely where we have been able to eliminate those pieces with it. And I'm going to forward this on a little bit so you see a little bit more, but it's basically simplifying the ability to collect and move data across. Let me see if he's got his. Oops. So we have a user interface which allows us to pair the device with a cell phone, iOS or Droid. We'll connect to it, and then within that software, we're able to identify farm field crop selections. Right now, it's corn, cotton, and soybeans, and then allows us to look at that and then be able to geotag all that information with that sample, so we can determine those pieces of it. This is the one I wanted to get here. So we go to the field, we calibrate, you place the leaf in, and then you scan it, and that's how long it takes to grab the tissue sample. It's a non-destructive way. You can put it on the leaf and then pull it across with it.
So, John, you're allowing the potential here to take a leaf sample, a sample of multiple places on the leaf, different places on the plant. So you could take 50 samples or 100 samples on one plant if you're trying to analyze different things. Okay.
Right, and that's part of the thing about it is that it's an unlimited scanning of the plant. We have based all of our accuracies upon the current methodologies that have been accepted in the industry since the 30s, 40s, where we take above the ear leaf on a corn plant, and then that's what we do. That's where we take the sampling at. Now this is going to allow us to sample all of the leaves on the plant and find out which ones are more indicative of the nutrient profile of that plant. So this is going to cause more questions in the first couple of years than answers, which is really going to drive people crazy. It's all going to be, well, what if? And we're going to be able to find out that maybe the assumptions that we've had over the years may not be quite correct, but we have to start with what is the standard practices of the day. So with the reporting that comes through, as we've been able to identify farm field, what the crop is, what a treatment would be. We have 3 different user inputs that can be put on, and then you receive a report of where the samples were taken, and then what the nutrient profile of that specific location was. And so our job is not to provide this in a geospatial platform, but to provide it as a digital tissue analysis with geolocation that can then be imported into any of the standards that are out there today, like a Trimble or an Agrian or any other FNC or whichever ones those are. So, so that's what we're delivering, is the ability to do that. So kind of the things that we're trying to solve, and this is kind of what we're looking at, is that we're looking at the criticalness of timing to know what's deficient in the crop. We look at the deficiency windows. Those are critical times that we have to address any issues that are going on, and we don't have 3 to 5 days to wait. Then also, as you guys know, it's a record fertilizer prices are hitting and have been hitting over the last year, and we need to be more targeted and more judicious with what we're providing with it. Let's see. So again, this is kind of what just reinforces that the number of steps involved in trying to get a sample taken. It takes 3 to 5 days to get it. We got to go through different steps. And at the end of the day, the cost of acquisition of that sample, transportation of that sample, and then getting it back to where you make decisions on is about a $50 proposition for each composite sample. And what we're able to do is scan, prescribe, and apply, basically, is the simplicity of it. It's simple, it's timely, it's targeted, and it takes about 30 minutes to get that data. We can scan as many places in the field that you deem necessary, and we're less than 20 cents a data point that's coming through with it. And with that, I'm going to take any questions. I've got a whole bunch of other pieces here that we can work with, but would like to follow your guys' questions and stuff.
Yeah, so John, can you kind of show or talk about the results coming back to your phone device, and then also your user interface for display, and then the concept of taking these georeferenced points and shape filing them for going into a any of your GIS software to work with?
That's a big question. You're talking about, let me make sure I understand what you were asking. Basically, the data that comes from the scanner, the results, and I don't know that I've got a slide that shows that new panel. Yeah, I don't have it on this one. I'll have to pull it off and give it. Basically, what we're doing is that on the scanner itself, well, maybe I'm gonna try it this way. I had to do this last time and I hadn't had a chance to get it through, but let me take
not quite coming through off the filter.
Yeah, let me get the filter off here, if I can figure out how to do that. Go ahead and ask me some questions while I'm getting it figured out.
Yeah, and John, if you want to screenshot that and email it to me, I can put it up there for you. So the results that you get are put into a simple table like format, but then from a user interface standpoint, tell us about where the data resides, where the data resides, and how do I access that information, and then what's my process for making the shapefile or using that information.
Well, I guess what we do is that we push this up. We're pushing this up to AWS right now, to where there's a digital report that was going to be pushed out, that you can see on your phone, which is a single table format that shows the nutrient profiles of it. I just sent it to you,
Yes.
Michael. Then we have the ability to send a GeoJSON to wherever you want to, either directly to your email or to so you can have access to your geospatial software. All of them are different, but they do all ingest a, a geospatial related data set. So the process to get it from the lab report, the digital lab report, to a map is all dependent upon your software. I don't know. Do you guys have a software that you guys like using? Anybody here? Do you guys use a crop management softwares? Okay. So with your customers or crop consultants, they generally have a crop management software that they can take that GeoJSON file or shape file, and then it will interpolate the data points on the map, interpret the data points on the map, and then it can create zones based upon the nutrient profile. And then the application maps are then prescribed from there. We do not, thank you, Michael. That's the data that you'll see on your phone. You'll see the farm, field, crop, the type, the client's name, and then you have those nutrients and leaf water content visible on there. And that's on the spot that you're taking. We are not a geospatial software, so we're not um, we're not doing it. We're not providing that aspect of it. We're just a digital farm. Okay, field view, same thing. Like I said, they're all capable of ingesting the file that we're creating.
John, if you want to turn your camera back on, that would be good.
Okay.
I know you had to turn it off to work on
Oh,
that
sorry
thing.
about that. Yeah, sorry
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, I'm
So
here.
thank you. Yep. All right. So let's go through this a little bit more. This information that I see here, there's a sample ID and there's a farm and a field name. Now,
Yep.
in your current version, so you're in version 2.0 or 2.5 or whatever it may
Yep.
be, and you have an online user interface also to view this information. So a crop scout or your ag retailer could sign into, with permission, into your account to pull this data from. Is that correct?
Just went away, Michael.
I'm sorry?
You just went away.
Oh, okay. I'll turn my camera off in case I got low video content. All right. So
Yeah.
with this data that I would have in the user interface, um, you have a way to log in, password protected, and your let's say your crop scout or someone else or your ag retailer or your rec writer can log in there and pull this information out from that user interface.
Uh, yes, we are generally pushing the data out.
Okay.
What we're doing on the scanner itself or on your cell phone, you have access as soon as you hit scan or review results. It's automatically linked to your device. So you can, once you are connected to your device, the device has a specific identification, and the device is your access point versus initially that's what you have, is that device is your access point. So if we want to push it to other people, we just need to register them to that device so that they can get access to that data, or you designate who gets what data, because there's a privacy issue thing that we're working through right now in version 3.0. What we have today is version 2.5, which is what this is. Version 3.0 won't be available until June, and we're actually private server to an AWS, where we're going to add more accessibility and authenticity of the data coming out, as far as who's accessing it, to make sure that we're complying with all the privacy issues and stuff.
Okay, great. Um, so I'll see on my screen some georeference points on the device, and
Yeah,
that's basically a Google map behind that, or something of
yeah,
that effect. Okay.
exactly.
And
We're using a Google map just to identify where you are in the field. We don't have a background map capability today, but we're working towards that for the 3.0.
all right. So on these results here, if I say that the N percentage is 2.64 and the zinc
Mhm.
is in milligram, can you tell us a little bit
Yep.
about what these numbers mean as compared to what you might find on something you send to A&L or Midwest Labs, those kinds of
They're,
things?
they are exactly the same thing. The only difference might be the zinc may be in parts per million, but milligrams is the same number. It's the same number. It's
Okay.
just on how you reference it, and percent is what you get from any of the lab samples. We are replicating, and well, we are replicating any industry standard lab samples on
Okay.
what the output values are.
And tell us about this leaf water content metric.
Yeah, leaf water content is a good indicator of water stress, and I use that for helping normalize some of the output of the data because everything is based upon dry matter content, and so we want to know that helps us adjust and get a little more accurate with our output, but it's also an indicator of water stress. And once you get down in the under zero point 0.7, you generally that's an irrigation. It'll help refine some irrigation methodologies. Like I said, this is going to create more questions as we look at how we can use this data because of the data density across the field, because you can do literally hundreds of data points. And we'll start seeing this, our ability to do some more fine tune our irrigation system programs with this also. Uh, the nutrient and irrigation capability is the tip of where this is going down the road. We see that we'll be able to do some disease identification prior to seeing it. And we see disease and pest coming identification coming in a little bit quicker on a leaf prior to us being able to see it and know it's there.
Yeah, that's some of the exciting 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, and who knows beyond
Yeah, yeah.
as we get this. So,
The,
from a minimum viable product, you've got the basics that most of what you're going to see here in a
right.
standard leaf tissue sample that people are sending in.
Yeah,
And
and the differentiator between what we're doing and what you see out there today from a like a SPAD meter or something like that, they are using only a couple, 2 to 3 spectral bands to infer what's there. They're trying to measure the chlorophyll content and then infer what the nitrogen percentages would be. And what we're doing is we're directly measuring the spectral signature of nitrogen and not inferring it from chlorophyll content. And that's why this product is very unique to the marketplace. That it's not been a we've never been capable of doing this in the field, and so that's what we're bringing, and that we've and what you have been starting working with is version 2.5 is what we have today, and we're using it through the balance of the spring or the initial parts of the spring with version 3.0 simplifying its operations and being available in June.
okay, and so the the samples you've done many, many, many hundreds and
Mhm.
of samples or thousands of samples as we go here to kind of match up and ground truth what's in the field. And so I like hearing about or you kind of saying what's the difference in terms of how the spectroscopy is done. Um, and can you mention a little bit about the difference in reflectance, or you have the
Sure.
transmittance type?
Yeah, the way way we work with this is that we have the handheld scanner, and we have a scan bed on the bottom, and we use a thing called transmittance where we're pushing light through the leaf to gain that spectral signature. And a lot of the systems today, a lot of the remote sensing uses reflectance. And the reason we went with transmittance and the scan bed is that it allows us to eliminate all of the other ambient light that may be around that leaf. And so we get a very clean, known, determined image of that leaf, where we remove any variability as much as we can. And in doing so, that gives us a consistent uh, image of that leaf. It eliminates a lot of the reflectance of some other materials that may be on top of the leaf, and we can eliminate those pieces of it, such as the dust, the pollen, and those types of things, and even some of the water that's setting on top of it versus in intercellular. So, and because we're doing that, and then we're measuring many more spectral bands that are available today in the field, it replicates what's going on in the laboratory because they're using spectral analysis to give us those results in the lab. They're a little more fine-tuned, they're a little more, possibly a little more accurate, but we're able to duplicate those pretty well. Also, to keep in mind, when people start talking about accuracy, there is there's studies have been out that there's almost a 30% difference between laboratories of the same sample as the reports are being submitted out. So what that means is that I can send these samples of the exact same sample to 5 different labs, and I potentially will have a 30% variation between each of those labs on the results. So when people start talking about, are we accurate? We are as accurate, if not more so, to the industry as it operates today.
Very good. All right. So this product, in terms of the infield leaf tissue assessment, is sold as and used as a software as a service. So we with the device that you have and that you or the customer will get and use, that device, the scanner is still owned and retained ownership by LeafTech Ag, and your subscription service will allow you to use it with unlimited sampling for a 12-month period. And then after that 12-month period, or maybe even before that 12-month period, if we get into a winter cycle, if you want to return the device, that device will be refurbished, updated with any new changes or things that LeafTech Ag determines is necessary, and a new one will be reissued for you. One of the warranty types of situations is if the scanner goes down and doesn't work. The idea here will be that you'll call in to us and ask us to replace that, and we'll immediately send you a whole new device. And that box that we send that to you, you'll just put the current one you have in and reship that one back to us. So going to make it very user friendly in that regard for you to work with it, and for your customers or the farmers to work with it. We see this device as something that the reseller or the dealer, the ag retailer, will be using to make recs. I think that some larger farming operations may be users or purchasers of it, but we see this a lot as being from a consulting aspect, someone like yourself going out and providing a service. It may be that you loan the device to your farmer and they use it for a day, and then they do the work instead of you, and you come back, bring the data in, analyze it with them, and make those recommendations as we go forward. So Jeff, we have Jeff Pritchard on with us from Nebraska, and he runs into a lot of different scenarios out there with dry land and irrigation, and he's providing a lot of fertility recommendations and micronutrients, and I see this as a real good tool where I think you'll easily be able to take advantage of it.
But
John, do you have any comments towards that?
yeah. I think one of the things too is if you as you're putting on a product that's either on a test basis or you just want to, if there's a test strip, what it does, it gives instant gratification to saying, is it working or is it not? Instead of saying at the end of the season, well, we put it on, the weather got bad. I think it improves our credibility as we're working in the field, that we can say, is this working now? Is what we tried working well? Are we seeing a measurable difference? And this is a quantitative measure instead of a visual. I think it's working this way. I know what it's this way. We can quantify what's going on with it. And then the other cool thing about it is because we're measuring all of the nutrients, we can see if our product's not working, is something out of balance. Our, yeah, we're pushing, always pushing nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, but what else is not in balance that may be limiting our yields, and the products that we're using to supplement that may not be addressing it. So again, it's about quantitative measurement of what's happening in that field and with that specific plant. And the other thing is it's non-destructive. So because we have a georeference, you can actually tag that plant, tie a ribbon on it, and then go back and revisit that same plant with, because you didn't destroy the tissue with it, you can measure it again. Are we making progress? And you have the issue of translocation and movement of nutrients through the plant itself, but it gives you, can help you get back to that same location and see what that specific plant and how it's responding. So it's a good tool, and it's a good thing to show because you can see the results right there instead of waiting 3 to 5 days to figure it out.
Yeah. So the speed to which to make decisions and then apply is very important. I've spoken with many different people, and the common comment is we have to wait 3 to 5 to 7 days. Sometimes they have to drive their samples to the lab, especially if it's Friday. And one person said, we don't even ship anything out on Friday because, it's so long for it then to get the results. So I think we've been working in this realm of leaf tissue sampling, kind of like we did maybe 30 to 50 years ago when it came to soil sampling. With regards to, if you think about the cost of doing leaf sampling, I know one of the locations we talked to is on kind of a 10-acre block. And so if they've got 160 acres, they're going to send in, say, 16 samples. And I think they said their charge on that just for the sample itself is about $12 per sample. So, that's you run some numbers on that, and you're looking at just in that one field, not quite $200 one field for a set of 10-acre blocks. Soil sampling, we're down to 2.5 or management zones. Some people are in a cycle of an acre or splitting those management zones. So John's comment about this is probably going to create a lot of questions, I think, is very important for where we're at in leaf tissue sampling. So, when you look at soil fertility is not necessarily what's just in the soil. It's soil fertility, and fertility is the results of everything we do with the soil, the plant, and our practices. And I think John mentioned in the past to me that right now there's about 52 million leaf tissue samples sent in on corn, and I was surprised at how high that number is. Okay, I would not have thought it's that high when you think about how low of density and how few of people actually do leaf tissue sampling at this time. So what we're going to change here with this technology is we're going to move from no tissue sampling. And what's interesting is there's very few farms today that don't do soil sampling. Okay. And we moved from 1 or 2 samples on soil sampling per field to higher density. And with this scanning technology, we're going to be able to move into super exponential high density sampling, into eventually you'll see billions and billions of samples being taken. John, I think you said that, how many samples did you take in that one field just to demonstrate it?
On a 80-acre field, I did 350 locations in a field, and it took me a little over an hour to go through the field. We were sampling because you can sample. It takes about 30 seconds to scan, let it say that it took the scan, then you walk to the next one. So you can walk and go. You can scan about as fast as you can walk through the field, and it's every one is geolocated. And what was interesting, alluding to what Michael was saying, is that we also had the soil sample grid zone maps in there too. And what we're finding out is that the sample zones from a soil test and then the sample zones from our tissue analysis didn't match up, because we're seeing what the bioavailability of the soil's profile, of the soil nutrient profile, is on the plant, because the plant is the ultimate arbiter of, am I getting what I need, and not a chemistry and not a chemical analysis of the soil. So what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to look at the bioavailability of nutrients in a zone, in zone creation, versus the chemical composition based upon, and I think somebody said we're using a dime size worth of soil for a 2 to 10 to 5 acre grid. And what we're doing is we're getting an individual plant and as dense as we would like to have across that field. So again, it's going to cause us to take another look and refine our bionutrient availability and changing management practices. And I believe with all of the products that you have at your disposal with Newfield, and will allow that to change how you're applying in a more targeted fashion and in a more productive fashion within that field. Brian?
Hey, John, the other thing that, we've been talking about through all these trainings that we've done on these weekly Wednesday webinars is talking about the nutrient use efficiency side. And that's where I see this technology, coming into play greatly, because, there's some of these guys on the call that are from central Iowa, and there's other areas that are watershed areas too, that you have to be careful about what you're putting down and when and the timing and all that kind of thing. So to be able to use this technology to have, I'm going to say instant. So let's say it's a 5-minute response time. It's a heck of a lot shorter than 5 days, but to be able to do that so you can target exactly what the crop needs at the time and not over or under apply, that it's a great asset. So I just want to make sure we bring this back together with that as well.
Yeah. And what this allows you to do, allows you to document. We'll have all the data coming through, and we can say, look, we only applied these products because the plant was deficient, not because we could broadcast it. And that documentation will become very valuable as we go through this climate issue that we're being forced to address. I don't care what side you fall on it. We have to comply. We have to justify, and we have to document why we applied any nutrient in the soil is quickly coming at us. And we have a method to say, this is what our nutrient profile is. This is why we applied. We were insufficient to do this. And so this data is a quantification and justification of why we're doing it.
It fits into that. A lot of our customers are also doing things with manure management plans. So they're used to this terminology and they're used to the tracking of it. So to be able to show them something that could assist in this and streamline this process is huge. It's just going to give them tremendous benefit to be able to do that. And to also be able to come back, the repeatability of it, to be able to see what does the application do and what's the plant response. So once again, other things that, we've built technologies that can be applied to the plants. Now we have a technology that can tell us that the application actually made a difference or not, so you do that too. So, yeah.
And the simplicity of use and the speed of data coming to you, we can double check it within 3 to 5 days or sooner. Did the plant respond? Did we make a difference with it? And if we need to reapply, then it makes sense that we do. If we didn't get the response that we expected, we got a bump, but we didn't quite get to utilization, or we just didn't hit it hard enough. And so it'll help refine application rates and targeting where those applications are going to be at.
John, thank you for that. Will you bring up a picture that maybe that first picture of that process that has the scanner in it and what the listing of things are available as we go here? So for those of you on the call, Jeff or Greg or Kent or, Jeremy and Dan, if you want to take yourself off of mute here for the last 10, 15 minutes, we know we're going to generate a lot of questions as we go, and we'll continue to refine our presentation and so forth. John, if you don't mind, you want to throw the picture up there of you and your family and your team, and
Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's our team, and I, I, I I guess we have we are a foundationally, we are a farming family. My kids that you see there are fifth generation on our farm. So we have a very strong ethic on what we're doing to make sure that we are supplying true value to the customer, because we are that customer. My son and I and my daughter, my wife, as most of us, runs most of our lives. So that's probably, she handles the money with it. So that's all the way it normally works with it. But we're a small team. But the thing is that both of my children went through a 25-year job interview. And I was fortunate in my career to work nationally and internationally, and they traveled with me. They've been part of building this ethic and these technologies, and they bring the next generation viewpoint of how to use it and what new things can we bring to the table. So that's where, that's we work well together, from the standpoint that we trust and are accountable for our performances and what we're providing to it. Gage, you'll see more visibility. Shelby doesn't like to talk to people, but she works really well on getting thoughts out of our heads and making sure those things get to light and on the communication side. And so Gage and I are the primary people that are in the field and have developed a lot of the hardware, software components of it. And then we also bring in people to help us. As I said, you get to know people over your careers. We've got an ex-colonel from the Army coming in. He's the ex-informations officer, and he's helping us get a little more organized and a little more formal with what we're doing. We have a professor of applied computing science working with us, double checking how we're doing things and making sure we're following those protocols. And I've got a couple design and electrical hardware engineers that, Anthony down at the bottom right is a engineer in Australia that helped, but it was on another startup that I was part of. And I redid. We've also got some higher level people. We just brought in a cybersecurity person who helped build a company called CloudStrike, and they're helping us make sure that we're going to be secure with all the data and that we're adhering to all the privacy acts across the world. So we are small, but we are well connected with people that have earned our trust, and likewise to build a reliable product out there. And so that's kind of what we're doing. We're not building a high overhead company. We're building one that delivers quality and service, and the latest technologies integrated into the system. That's why we're going with a scan as a service, because one of the things in bringing technologies to ag, it's ever changing. And we should not have to pay that price over and over and over again on the technology side. It just didn't make sense to me. So that's why we've formulated this method to do this, is so that you get the latest and best and most accurate technologies along with the best upgrades each and every year. And we've got some people in here. I didn't mention John Roberts. He's the ex-CEO of John Deere Water, and he was on another startup with me. And so we've got people that we've worked with that have got connections within the marketplace, and we have deliberately been low profile. Michael has drug us kicking and screaming into this marketplace a little bit, so which is good. I'm grateful of that, but we've been trying to maintain a fairly low profile as we started getting everything pulled out there and working with it. And you guys are on the leading edge. I'm going to say you're not on the bloody edge, but you're on the leading edge of seeing this stuff into the marketplace. And this year we have a limited supply. We're only producing 125 to 150 scanners, and you guys are the first ones to get access to that supply. So that's part of what we're doing with it. Does that give enough of a?
That's great, John. Thank you for that. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Is there another slide you want up or anything?
Oh, I was just gonna say that
But-
kind of that first slide there showing the scanner itself and
Okay. Yeah, this right here, as I said, it's very simple. You just put it on the leaf. It's scan, prescribe, and apply. It's very simple in its applications. I'm down here in Florida right now, working around Clewiston, and we were in some sweet corn fields yesterday, and I'll be out again today and tomorrow. And the customers that we're working with down here, they couldn't believe how quick it was. And so that's kind of the thing about it is that we are able to get a lot of data very quickly, and it takes a little, just to get through the field. If we didn't have to walk around alligators, it would have been a little more interesting, a little more fun, probably.
All right, so the group on the webinar, what kind of questions should we finish out here with John before we finish up today?
Hey, Michael, I got a question for you guys on the analysis of the 11 nutrients. So if you're not an agronomist like myself, but is there a range that does the tool or the software provide a range of what we're looking for? Because you got the analysis there, right? So where does that show up if it is that in the software, or is that on the the kick out of the numbers? Maybe touch base on that, John.
Sure. I am not boots on the ground, and however, we do have a lot of sufficiency, insufficiency numbers that we can use, and we're leaving that up to the customer who's using that specific device. So we can adjust them accordingly to your area. We have book values. We have other people who have different ranges. Each laboratory, honestly, has a different range of sufficiency, insufficiency.
Yep.
So that will be driven by what you have. We're most likely going to have a bar graph similar to what's on a lot of the tissue analysis reports on sufficient, insufficient, adequate, inadequate, deficient type ranges that will show up. I think, I don't know if I've got an example of it here.
And the goal in the future from a white labeling standpoint is if there's a specific group of people or a user that says, hey, we would like our numbers for sufficiency to be in a certain range, John is making provision in his team for the ability to submit documentation to his company for review, and then to, in essence, program that into the specific login or grouping of people that may want that.
Yeah, I hope you can appreciate. I mean, I'm an agronomist. I know what ranges I would like. However, I'm not boots on the ground, and that we don't want to impose our philosophies on things. We want to support what you're trying to accomplish. If you look on this right here, this right-hand side, you see a radar graph. This is one representation that shows all the nutrients around the outer circle of it and where the sufficiency ranges are. And then, so like this one right here, calcium is low, magnesium is insufficient. It's 0.2%, 2.2 parts per million. So these are all things that we can incorporate to make a reporting easier, because that's easily replicatable out of the database, because we're pushing it to a cloud-based database. And so we can easily associate each of the reports to your specific sufficiency, insufficiency ratings on what crop you're in. Because we are identifying right now, we're in corn, cotton, and soybeans, and we're quickly expanding to other crops. And each one will have a unique one. And within that, there'll probably be a dozen sufficiency, insufficiency ratings within each crop.
Great, that helps a lot. One quick question, Michael. Are we going to share the investment numbers after the call or during the call on the tool and this?
Yeah, I think it's fine. John, if you want to bring up the retail discussion here, just on the basis of how this system works and where we're at in the marketplace with the current version. So, John, if you want to explain, the service and the pricing and how
Sure.
how the value is there.
Okay. So if you look at, we charge $15,000 retail annually for the scan as a service, which includes the scanner, battery charger, and unlimited use of that scanner. And it's to be returned annually so that we can refurbish and regenerate. And if you look at our current sampling cost from an agronomist standpoint or a crop consultant standpoint, their break even is basically they have to send in 300 samples at the normal cost, which is about equivalent to 15,000. Now, of that 300 samples, I can do over 30,000 samples, data points within a field. I can get over 10 times more data points within that field. So the cost keeps dropping down with that. So that's where your numbers come in at. Are you taking more than 300 samples a year, or are you able to provide 30 samples within a field versus one? It's that type of math. It's about quality of data, timeliness of data, and accuracy of data. And are you going to use it? If somebody's just going to go out there and just take one sample in a field, I would say just let them do traditional, because they're not going to do much about it. But if you're taking more, you're using it to justify and show from a product performance basis, how invaluable is it for that farmer if you're showing them, well, we applied it here, we didn't apply here, we have a higher nutrient profile on this during the growing season rather than after the fact. That helps too. There's value within that marketing and performance validation during the growing season too. So does that make sense?
Excellent. Very helpful. Thank you.
Well,
Any other questions from the group?
You guys are either dazzled or baffled, one of the two. I'm not sure.
Both.
Both, yeah.
John, this is one of those technologies new to understanding that people, they question, does it work? How does it work? And it's very exciting, and I'm so thankful to be able. I enjoy. Our team enjoys bringing new technologies to the marketplace, and we're right here at the front side of changing the way that leaf tissue sampling is done. And I think it's going to help us with our soil fertility management also. We take these soil fertility samples in a sense, 2 years, 3 years, 4 year cycle. And then we work off of them for a while and we try to change the soil. And we now start into some of this leaf tissue sampling where we're just getting a limited picture of things. And so with unlimited sampling, with the ability to just learn from the knowledge there, I liken it back to you used to not even have a monitor on your planter. Then we went to a light on and off, if it's even planting, then to population. And now look at how we're managing planters, because we have data coming in that gives us metrics in order to change our downforce, change our speed, singulation, and so on. And so this is next level innovation in this place. Andrew, Jeff, Jeremy, anyone else have any questions here? All right. Thank you, John. John, we'll have you on again in the future.
Sure.
As we go. So with a limited number of scanners available to be here, we're looking at a June delivery. And so I think we have maybe 40 some scanner, I don't know, 30, 40 scanners left, depending on how the orders are coming in here. So what we're looking at and targeting is in our group, those people who like to use a new technology can go out and demonstrate it. and give us feedback as we go. And then into the summer and the fall months, John's going to work on making his production schedule to be ramped up. Where we get through this first run, we'll be able to then expand production and expand sales and expand users. So appreciate your time today, John. And
Yep, thank you.
we'll let John get back in the fields and working with the customer down there in Florida. And call us or the team with any questions, and we'll continue to bring you this good information. So appreciate all your time today, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk with you later.